The Discovery Sport is Land Rover's replacement for the Freelander. Now, its focus is on utility. So when it was launched, of course, there was a diesel engine. But with consumers now moving more and more towards petrol, they're reconsidering that. Most manufacturers have scrambled to get out their petrol variants, and so has Land Rover. The Discovery Sport now gets a petrol. It's the same engine we saw in the XE. We loved it in the lighter car. Let's see how it performs in this bigger, heavier SUV. This petrol has 90 bhp more than its diesel sibling, and the same 2-litre 240 HP we saw in the XE. Now you do feel that difference of 90 bhp out on the road. This one's much nicer to drive. And what's impressive about this engine is it doesn't feel like it's lugging around more weight. It still feels sprightly. In fact, it's a whole 2 seconds quicker than its diesel sibling. The beauty is that with a petrol, there's seamless acceleration. And with this engine feeling as responsive as it did, whether you were cutting through city traffic or munching miles on a highway, it was equally easy to be behind the wheel. And it's an easy acceleration from the word go, but you do feel that kick of power coming just short of the 2000 RPM mark. And then you ride this nice linear wave of torque all the way to the red line. If there is a fly in the ointment, it really is the gearbox that feels hesitant and jerky. At city speeds, the lag in the gearbox response is a bit more accentuated, but that's if you floor the pedal. Use the throttle lightly and it responds much more smoothly. At lower speeds in the city, there is a firmness to the ride and you do feel a lot of the road imperfections filter through. But as you pick up pace, you realize that this SUV becomes better damped and it's got good body control. In fact, it's a great cruising companion. It may not be as agile as an X3 around corners, but it does go around them pretty well. However, it doesn't like quick changes of direction, and that's because the roll is quite pronounced. It's best driven dialed a notch back. Now, unfortunately, not a lot of people will do what this car is really meant to do. A Land Rover is supposed to go Land Roving. You're supposed to go off-roading in this one. But if you do veer off course, you will realize that this car is capable enough to get you out of any kind of tricky situation. The terrain response system works extremely well. And with this kind of inclement weather, it was a boon to be secure in the fact that this will wade through the flooded roads as well. It's a cushy interior to live with. There are angular cues that dominate the dash. There's a two-tone interior. The beige really makes it feel nice and airy. Everything feels good quality and built to last. You get the touchscreen infotainment system, although the screen is a little bit small. But if you opt for the top-end variant, you get a host of goodies and you get that third row of seats. Now let's take a look at rear seat comfort. Now before we get to that third row, let's talk about the middle row. This is where most of the owners of the car will be. As you can see, there's ample leg room over here. Even a really tall person can get comfortable. You can stretch out your feet to go under the front seat. And of course, the seat is on sliders, so you can either open up room for the third row of passengers, or you can push it all the way back and get absolutely comfortable yourself. There's large glass areas, there's a big sunroof to make it feel nice and open and airy. You get the side aircon vents, you get a central armrest with cup holders as well. So, a comfortable place to be. Well, let's check out that third row. Now it's a bit tight getting in there, and I now realize why JLR have been very careful to call this a 5+2 and not a 7-seater, because as you can see, I mean, even with the space that this seat makes pulled up in front, I'm absolutely knees up. It's a very tight seating position and it's best for little kids. The Land Rover Discovery Sport comes with a 981-litre size boot when used as a 5-seater. But when you opt for the variant with the 7 seats, do remember that you will get only a space saver instead of a full spare wheel. The Discovery Sport is a smart, well-proportioned car which has that chunky shape that lends it the image that one wants from an SUV. Well, the Discovery Sport is a perfectly capable SUV. It rides well, it handles well. It does have that third row of seats, although you have to shell $1.5 lakh extra out for that variant. But when you do get the top-end variant, you do get a host of goodies along with it as well. It's spacious, it's comfortable, and yes, this petrol engine has only made it more fun to drive.